Okay, recording has started. And sharing my screen. Somebody please confirm if you can see it.
I can see it.
Very good. Thank you very much.
I
Okay,
can see it.
you can see it? Good. Very good. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the Prabhupada Pranam Mantra. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvichesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Om Jnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we're going to do an overview of chapter number 11 and chapter number 12 today. Chapter 11, as some of you may know, is the universal form. It is displaying the universal. Krishna is going to display his universal form. Now, when we say a universal form, what it means is that it's not necessarily another incarnation, right? But this is how Krishna manifests himself in this material universe. How Krishna actually manifests, how through his various agencies he gets things addressed. So this is his Krishna's manifestation. Also, Arjun is going to request Krishna to actually show this, and this chapter actually covers the details about that universal form. So let's get right into it. Arjun basically, he will make a request in the first 9 verses. He will make a request. He says, "Okay, I accept you as the primeval Lord, and I wish to see this form of yours, which by which you pervade this universal form." And then Krishna will be merciful on Arjun, and then Krishna will show the universal form. And by that, we will also have Sanjaya giving a description of Arjun's vision. So whatever Arjun is seeing, Sanjaya is also seeing, because Sanjaya has the divine eyes given by Srila Vyasadeva. And so in that way, Sanjaya is going to describe what Arjun is actually seeing. So let's get started with the first verses. Arjuna, first of all, he acknowledges that the two-armed form of Krishna is the supreme. We have to understand that the two-armed form that we see Krishna playing the flute, that is the supreme form. And then from that comes all the other forms. But he requests Krishna to show him that all-pervading form that Krishna previously spoke of. So Krishna actually said that in previous verses, he said that, by my energies, I pervade the entire universe. So he's saying, okay, well, how does that actually work? Can you show me? If you remember in chapter 10, Arjuna asked, hey, so how can I understand you, in the material world? And Krishna said, just by a small fragment of my energies, the small, tiny particles, tiny fragment, I sustain this whole thing. And if he says, of all the mountains, I'm the Meru, of all the animals, I'm the lion, and so forth. So he basically started giving a number of such kind of examples. And he says, basically, in whatever kind of realm you want to see, whether it is mountains, whether it is, humans, he said, whether it is animals, or what have you, in that, whatever is representing the pinnacle, that is Krishna's representation. And so now he's asking, how do you now pervade us the entire universe? I would like to see. So here, in text number 3, Arjun actually addresses Krishna as Parameshwara and Purushottama. He calls himself these two words. He's saying you're both. You're the best of the personalities of the Supreme Lord. So you know why I'm asking you to show me this universal form, although I'm your devotee. Parameshwar, Param Ishwar comes from, so Parameshwar is a word that is made up of 2 words, Param and Ishwar. So Ishwar means controller. Param Ishwar means the supreme controller. So he addresses him by as Parameshwar. Purushottam also is referring to the Supreme Person. Purush refers to the person. Uttam refers to one who is the greatest. We say Uttam, right? So that is the greatest. So therefore, Krishna is being referred by Arjun as both Purushottam as well as Parameshwar. So Krishna then will start to show the universal form, but he first describes the universal form of the various opulences, demigods, times. He'll show all this to Arjun. But then he'll say, okay, I need to give you some divine eyes to actually see it. And this is interesting. Let's see why it is interesting for Arjun to get divine eyes. So Krishna says, no one has seen this form before. This Krishna is going to really expand himself all the way to the sky. He's going to rise all the way to the sky. And there's going to be numerous faces, numerous hands, and unlimited legs, unlimited thighs, unlimited bellies. He's just expanding himself all over the place. He's going to say all that. So he's saying that nobody has seen this kind of a form before. Now, before, if you remember, when he was in Duryodhana's palace, he had kind of shown a Virat Roop, a similar one, when he went as a messenger. But what he's about to show right now, this one no one has seen before. So then Krishna says that you will not be able to see me with the kind of vision that you have right now. What you need is a divine vision. When he says a divine vision, he says divine eyes, divya chakshu. Chakshu is referred to in plain English as eyes, but it's also more appropriately referred to as a vision. So what kind of vision does Arjun need? So Krishna says that, okay, you will need some divine vision. Now, Arjun, he is basically trying to ask this question on our behalf, which is higher, the universal form of Krishna or the two-handed form of Krishna, which is the most beautiful? So he's trying to ask that question on our behalf. Since Krishna has this two-armed form, which is higher, the question is, why did Krishna have to give Arjun these divine vision to see something that is lower? You see, so the first thing is to understand is that the two-handed form of Krishna, that is higher. From that comes the expansion, from that comes the manifestation. So the universal form is lower. So the question is that generally when you say something, you need to see divine vision, that means you need to see something higher. But the two-handed form of Krishna is already the highest. There is nothing higher than that. So then why would Arjun actually need this divine vision? So now for that, we should understand that when we talk about heavenly, it means higher than materially, higher than the material universe is that heavenly planet. But it is lower than the spiritual. It's lower than the spiritual one. And Arjun he already had this spiritual vision because he's Krishna's eternal associate. So Krishna had to give him that heavenly vision, which is material, so that Arjun could see the universal form. You see, there's a difference. So here we are in this universe. When we think about divine vision, we think about, oh, here's the divine, the universal. But Arjun already had that spiritual vision. So in order to see this material manifestation, he needed this divine vision so he can actually go from that higher spiritual vision to this lower material vision, and he can actually see that. Do you all understand this? This is a significant point. Yeah? Okay. And then begins the description of the Krishna's universal form. Arjun is basically just beholding Krishna's universal form because it's going to be divided into many, many thousands and thousands, although he's situated just in one place. And then, the description starts. He says that as if thousands and thousands of suns were to rise in the sky, that much of brilliance, that much of radiance, that much of sunlight is actually coming out from this universal form. Now, we have all seen the sun. So much of light comes out during the day. It gets so hot. It's like, 90 degrees today. And look at the light that's coming out from the sun. And we are only looking at one sun, right? We're only looking at one sun. What if there were to be hundreds of thousands and thousands of suns actually appearing? What would that look like? It would basically be blinding. Just one sun, there was a scientist by the name of Galileo. He was studying the sun through a telescope, and the power of the sun was so much that Galileo went blind just studying the sun. So imagine hundreds and thousands of suns that were to rise up in the sky. That's the brilliance, that's the effulgence, that's the radiance, the light that comes out from Krishna's universal form. Such an amazing view, such an amazing vision. And what did Arjun see? He actually saw in all the different universes, many sizes, many ingredients, all in one place and also separate in their existence. Everything Arjun is actually seeing manifested in one place. And then in this universal form, Arjun is astonished. He's astonished. He's so bewildered. And then he prays. He says, my dear Krishna, I see all the demigods. So now all the demigods, remember, where are these demigods located? They're all within the material universe, and they are all responsible for taking care of the various administrative affairs of the universe, such as the water, the fire, the moon, and so forth, right? They are all responsible for all of that. So that's where they are taken care of. So then he says, I'm seeing all the demigods. So think about this. The material universe is spread out so much, but Arjuna is seeing everything in one place because that's what Krishna actually gave him. He said, here, see everything in one place right now. All the sages, the sages, they are doing so much of tapasya, so much of meditation, so much of devotional service, prayer to Lord Krishna. All the divine serpents, they're all being seen here. This is the all-pervading, eternal personality of Godhead. The sun and the moon, they actually look like the eyes of God. And he says you're burning the universe by your radiance. The whole universe is getting burned by that. So now, because Arjun is so much in wonder, his relationship now changes from friendship to wonder. He's really so much astonished. He's so much in wonder right now. But of course, at that point of time, he wasn't afraid, but he will become afraid soon. And then he says that, later on, he said, oh, thank you, Krishna, but, at the same time, I'm really afraid now. So we have to understand that this is basically a change of relationship. It's called rasa sandhi, a change of relationship. We can actually be in relationship with Krishna, but there are some secondary rasas. We know the 5 primary rasas, but there are 7 secondary rasas. They are like anger, wonder, comedy, chivalry, mercy, dread, and godliness. So he goes from wonder. He goes from friendship down to wonder. He says, oh my God, oh Krishna, your blazing effulgence is devouring the whole world. Who are you? What is your mission? What are you here to do? Why are you demonstrating this? Not why demonstrating, because that's what I asked for, but him manifesting in the material universe, he's asking, what is the mission of you manifesting yourself in this material universe? So Arjun is going to describe another element, and it would be a little bit disturbing because this is actually called Krishna's Kala Rupa, right? Or the form of time, which Krishna has already said it is a destructive element. See, when the material universe is created, okay, because it is created, at some point of time, it will be destroyed also. And then there is a period of maintenance. Anything that is created will be destroyed. That is the law of material universe. Okay, so Krishna also has this energy where he will be showing his destructive element, and that is what is about to start. Now, Arjun, he starts to see the fear, even of the demigods. Even the demigods are afraid because his rasa changes from wonder to fear. So initially he was astonished. He was like, oh my God, wow, this is so wonderful. Thank you, Krishna. And then slowly he got afraid. He's like, oh my God, this is a little fearful. Okay. Why is it fearful? Because this form is so huge. with unlimited number of hands and unlimited number of legs. It was touching all the way up to the sky, as far as Arjun could see. And it was even beyond that, which Arjun cannot see. But as far as he can see, it was all touching the sky. And earlier, Krishna had said, see all that you want in this just one part of my body. But as soon as Arjun was actually seeing the universal form, he forgot he couldn't see Krishna's body anymore. He could only see the universal form. Isn't that interesting? He could only see that universal form. And then Krishna says to Arjun that you will be able to see the past, the present, and the future as well. Think about it. We are here in the material world. We only see the present at one time. Obviously, we cannot see the past, and obviously, we cannot see the future. But Arjun is actually seeing the past, the present, and the future all at the same time, all in one place. Ekastham. He's seeing everything in just one place, right? So he's actually seeing even some of the soldiers on his side, as well as soldiers on the Kaurava side. They're all entering into the mouth of death. Basically, they're all going to get killed. So that is what he is actually seeing. And then there are two analogies that are being given. And the two analogies are that just as we have the rivers that are actually entering into the ocean, and just as the moths, they enter into the fire, what actually happens? That these great warriors, they are entering into your mouth. These warriors are just entering. So the two analogies that are given here, you may find this interesting, is that the waves of the rivers, they flow into the ocean. And when they go into the ocean just absorbs those waves. The river is turbulent, but the ocean is calm. It is not turbulent. The ocean does not get disturbed by the turbulence of the river. And so what happens is that all these warriors, they're going to get killed. So one of Krishna's faces was death. So what that signifies is that eventually all these soldiers are going to get killed in the battlefield. So these warriors, they enter into your mouth like moths into the fire. Like moths, they find the fire very attractive. They go in there, but then eventually they get killed. And then he's starting to describe the aspects of the universal form. He says, first of all, it is immeasurable, aprapyatam, immeasurable. I cannot measure it. He's going to make an attempt to measuring. Right? First of all, he says like it's so wide, it's so huge, it's so infinite. I just can't even put my arms around it. I can't even put my head around it. It is immeasurable. It is effulgent. Effulgent in the sense that there's so much of light that's coming out. Everything was situated in one place. And the Kala Rupa is also there, which is this is just showing the time. So then Arjun actually asked him, who are you? What is your mission? And then he says, I'm actually time, the great destroyer. Become my instrument. So then Arjun will have some prayers, and then Prabhupada tells us that only pure devotees can see the two-armed form of Krishna. So then here Krishna actually says, who I am, who am I? He says, Kalosmi Loka Kasya Krit. He says, I am the destroyer of the world. I am time. The great warriors on both sides, they're already killed by my plan. You can just be but an instrument, arise and fight. Krishna says that on both sides, these warriors are already killed. What are you thinking, Arjun? Remember, we were discussing this in chapter 1 and 2. Arjun was thinking, oh, here's my grandfather, here's my teacher, here's my relatives, here's my uncles, here's my friends. Krishna is saying all these are already killed. You just have to be an instrument. Just do what you're supposed to do. Don't be afraid. Don't back out. Just get up and do your job. We may find this even in our lives, right? We basically have to do what we have to do. We have to study. We have to have a well-rounded, set of activities. We have to, do, study in the college, and then, when we do our jobs and things like that, we have to do what our duty is. We don't have to shy away from that. We don't have to go and turn it away and say, oh, what, Krishna has already decided what needs to happen. No, we still have to do, because we have to be acting as Krishna's instrument. Krishna will empower us. If we desire something to do for Krishna, Krishna will empower us to do that. So he continues to say, do your duty. One who can fight, Sabyasachi basically means one who can fight with either hand. Normally, we'll find that people are either right-handed or left-handed, right? And somebody can write with right hand as well as left hand, and they are called ambidextrous. So Arjun was one of those. He can fight either with the right hand or with the left hand. And Krishna is now telling Arjun, he said, utilize all your skills, stand up, fight. And so this is what Krishna has been telling Arjun all the time. Just do your duties, stand up and fight. Don't worry about anything else. Just do what you're supposed to do. Just follow your duty. Right? And then Krishna basically is saying that there is a specific plan that is being carried out in this material world. What is that plan? This cosmic manifestation is actually a chance for all of us to go back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport. He says, as long as we have the mentality to be the boss of everything that I own, to lord it over, I will remain in the material world. If I think that I am the owner, I am the enjoyer, I will remain in the material world. The moment I think that, oh, all of this is really for Krishna, Krishna is the creator, and I am the servant of Krishna, then I will be liberated. I'll be able to get out of this material world. Right? So here again, Jayadratha is mentioned because again, Jayadratha has a particular role in the war. We're not going to get into the details of that. Arjun then begins to pray after seeing this universal form. He's like trembling in fear, and he then begins to pray. He says, all become attached to you upon hearing your name, but the demons flee. Once you hear Krishna's name, oh, Krishna, so wonderful. Let's chant his name. Let's read Bhagavad Gita. Let's talk about his pastimes. So everybody wants to talk about Krishna. But there are people who are atheists. They don't believe in God. And here, Arjun is saying that they too should offer homage to you because you are the cause of all causes. Because everything is coming from Krishna. All the material universe is, this universal form is the manifestation of Krishna. Relationship with Krishna is fixed eternally. So our relationship with Krishna, it cannot be forgotten. And we can see that from the behavior of Arjun. So although Arjun has seen the opulence of the universal form, he cannot forget his friendly relationship with Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says this in the purport. He says Arjun has seen it, but to Arjun, who is Krishna? Oh, he's my friend. He is my cousin. I can play around. He didn't forget that. Although he came to a realization that, oh my God, he's a Supreme Personality of Godhead. And later on, he's going to ask for forgiveness, but he still remembers that. And then he says, oh my God, I am so sorry. I have played around with you. I played tricks on you, and I just, took you to be my, my most dear friend. I am sorry. I didn't realize that you are this huge, great personality of Godhead. So please forgive me. And then Krishna says that just as a father tolerates the disturbances from his son, or the friend to a friend, or a husband the familiarity of his wife. He says that Arjuna is actually saying, please tolerate all these things. Just like a father tolerates a son, and sometimes the friend tolerates another friend. But Krishna says that the relationship between a father and a son, or a friend and a friend, is the basis is love. The basis is similarly the relationship between God and us as the devotees. The basis is bhakti. So Arjun is so fearful. He says, okay, Krishna, I'm done with this universal form of yours. I don't want to see this anymore. Please reveal your two-armed form as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And at that point of time, Krishna will withdraw his universal form, and then he will show Arjun his four-armed form, and finally his two-armed form. Hare Krishna. And that is Krishna. You see, with Krishna playing the flute, sitting in Vrindavan, such a blissful. Do we like this picture of Krishna, or do we like that huge universal form of Krishna? Which one are we more attracted to, dear devotees? Yes, Navneet.
The two-armed form?
The two-armed form. We are very attracted to this because we love Krishna. So that concludes this chapter number 11. And let me see. Is there a question from? I thought somebody raised their hand. Okay. So that concludes chapter number 11. And I will now screen share chapter number 12. Before I go to chapter 12, does anybody have any comments or questions on chapter 11?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes.
So,
Please state your name. I can't see you, or I don't know who you are speaking.
my name is Advait.
Yes, Advait, go ahead.
So, you said Krishna's the destroyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But don't they say Shiva's the destroyer?
Yes, that is true. So Krishna, so when you talk about Krishna and Lord Shiva, so Lord Shiva actually is the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a twist. So Krishna actually transforms into Lord Shiva for the purpose of destruction. You see, the understanding is that just as we have milk and yogurt, right? Do you know how we can get yogurt? We actually get yogurt from milk, right? So we can get milk and yogurt. Now, essentially, both milk and yogurt are both dairy products. So they're essentially the same with a slight difference. And the slight difference is that you can get yogurt from milk, but you cannot get milk from yogurt. That's the analogy used in Brahma Samhita by Lord Brahma to say that Krishna is milk and Lord Shiva is yogurt. So for the purpose of the destruction of this material universe, Krishna transforms himself into Lord Shiva. Okay? Advaita Chandra, you have a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, yes.
Hare Krishna.
It was Hare Krishna, yes. So it was mainly about that you were saying what the plan was
Mm-hmm.
of the material world, and if the material world is a chance for us to go back to Godhead. So I was just wondering that it's a nice point, and I couldn't exactly get where it was inferred from what topic it was inferred from the 11th chapter, like how it connected to.
What connected again? I didn't get your question. What is connected?
So, like that one point, how this material world is a chance for us to
Yes.
go to the spiritual world.
Yes.
That exactly related to the 11th canto I missed. I liked both points, but
Okay. That is actually Srila Prabhupada giving us information in the purport.
uh,
Prabhupada is giving us that information. See, if I go back, that the if I go back and let me see if I can find that slide for you. For yeah, let me go ahead and share the screen, and I will share. This is chapter 11. Yeah. So this is where you see the specific plan. This is where Srila Prabhupada gives us that information. Because if you look at what Arjun is asking is, what is your mission? You know, his mission is, he says, I'm time, basically here to just, you know, eventually destroy everything. Obviously, he initially in the 9th chapter, he says, I created everything, right? And then here he's saying, I'm going to be destroying everything as time. But look at this. This is the purport of text 33. Prabhupada says this cosmic manifestation is a chance for the conditioned souls to go back to Godhead. As long as we have as long as we have a domineering mentality, we will lord it over. But as soon as we realize, okay, my position as servant of Krishna, then at that point of time, I will have a chance to go back to Godhead. So that is the purpose of this material world, is for the conditioned souls to come here to execute their activities, to reap the fruits of their past karma, and not keep doing additional material karma, but do action for Krishna, which will get us out of this material world. Prabhupada is giving more information here so that we can fully understand. Okay. Radhika, I see your hand is raised. Thank you, Advaita.
So Arjuna already has divine eyes, right?
Yes.
And the universal form is like lower.
Yes.
So then why did Krishna says, I'm going to give you divine eyes?
So divine here is referring to heavenly, and heaven actually is a planet in the material universe. It is not a planet in the spiritual universe, in the spiritual sky. So Arjun already had the vision of the spiritual sky. He doesn't need any vision to see that. But because the heavenly planets are within the material universe, Arjun needs that divine vision to see the heavenly planets. That is what it means. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Navneet, thank you. Navneet, you had a question.
Yes, Prabhuji. So I had two questions, but my question was already answered.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
That's okay. You can remember. Divyansh, did you have something to say?
Yeah, like I'm just asking, but like, did everybody like in Mahabharata technically have spiritual vision because they were able to like see Krishna?
Good question.
Like,
So no. At the time Krishna was displaying his universal form, only those people who had the divine vision were able to see that universal form. So for example, Arjun, Sanjay, Srila Vyasadeva, these were the people who had the divine vision who would be able to see this universal form. Everybody else on the battlefield, they did not know what's going on. So when they saw Krishna at the time of battle, they just saw Krishna as any ordinary human being. They did not even realize that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because it takes bhakti to understand Krishna's position. So Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya and Kripacharya, they all knew because they had bhakti. But others on the battlefield, they were out there just to kill Krishna. They're all, demons. So why would Krishna show them such kind of a form, or even the understanding, when they derided Krishna as basically just another human being, right? Okay.
okay.
Advaita, your hand is still raised. Did you have any other question? Okay. All right. Navneet, your hand is raised. Any other question from you?
Yes, Prabhuji. So my question is a little similar to Divyansh's, but my question was that Arjuna's a Kshatriya, right?
Arjuna was what?
A Kshatriya.
Kshatriya. Yes, he was a Kshatriya.
And he had, and like, do other Kshatriyas also have divine vision, just like Arjuna?
No. For you to get the divine vision is a mercy of Krishna, and he gives his mercy to his devotees. But all the other Kshatriyas, no, they do not have that divine vision. Like, Duryodhana is a Kshatriya, but he's not a devotee. So he will not have the divine vision.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. And Divyadeep put its question on the chat, asking why should we know about the universal form? And I think it is important to understand here the universal form, because Krishna, we understand when we see the universe, we understand that all this basically is a manifestation of his energy. Krishna actually has shown us how he has all these different administrative affairs going on in the universe. So, when Arjuna actually saw Krishna with multiple phases, in one phase there is fire coming out, from one phase there is water coming out. All of these are signifying the presence of fire and the presence of water and the origin of where these are coming from. They're all coming from Krishna. He also saw in one phase there are living entities coming out of his mouth. What that basically is signifying is that the birth in this material world, how that is happening by Krishna's energy. The death is happening by Krishna's energy. So it is important for us to get that kind of an understanding. Okay, some people might say, here's another reason why some people might say, oh, Krishna two-handed form, just like any other one, no problem. But you know what? How can I really look at the material world around me and think of Krishna? And so for that, when we look at water, how did we even get the water? Yeah, there is a whole natural cycle about the water evaporating from the ocean and then, getting into clouds, coming inland, making landfall, and then, we getting that drinking water. But how did this whole nature cycle get created in the first place? So that's the purpose to understand Krishna's universal form. I hope that addresses your question, Divyadeep. Akshay, do you have a question? You have your hand raised?
Yes. So Prabhuji, you know how you said people with no bhakti don't have
Yes.
divine vision?
Yes.
So because like Duryodhan, people like Duryodhan don't have bhakti in that lifetime because of some reason, but in the past lifetime they should have bhakti, because to be with Krishna in one lifetime, he needs to get a boon, right? Which means you have to have bhakti. For the past life, he had to have bhakti. Then in the next life, he gets a boon that I'll stay with you for a whole lifetime, right?
Okay.
So how come he doesn't get divine vision? Like when you get divine vision, is it just for the lifetime, or is it like the whole time until your soul goes to Krishna, until you merge into Krishna?
Okay, so first of all, you don't merge into Krishna.
Well, like, yeah, go to Krishna.
We
Like,
never merge into Krishna. We remain separate from Krishna. Okay? When if you say we merge into Krishna, you mean to say we become Krishna. We can never become Krishna. Krishna
yeah,
is
like
Krishna?
go to Krishna.
Yeah, we go to Krishna. Okay, now the question is, does the divine vision stay with everybody? Yeah, once you get the divine vision, then that vision actually stays with you. It's not like, I mean, people sometimes want to withdraw it, but it's there with you. So Arjun actually, continued with the divine vision. And then the other question is Duryodhan, he must have some kind of a bhakti. I think, so when you look at Duryodhan, he is the incarnation of Kali Yuga. Okay, so he actually has these propensities, these bad qualities that he brings along with himself. And so those kinds of things actually are there. Eventually, if you look at the personality, even they are a devotee of Krishna, because they're assisting Krishna in this pastime. Now, Duryodhan here is assisting Krishna in his pastime, and he's displaying all these bad qualities. So therefore, in that display, in that pastime, Duryodhan is not a devotee. He does not get any kind of a divine vision. Okay? All right. So let's go on. We'll move on now to chapter number 12. Good questions, everybody. Good discussion. Chapter number 12 is entitled Devotional Service, Bhakti Yoga. See, this is the interesting part. When we see Bhagavad Gita, we say the middle 6 chapters are all Bhakti Yoga. But when it actually comes to what do we do in Bhakti Yoga, it's chapter 12. So, chapter 12, the summary of the sections basically is divided into 3 sections. We have impersonalism and bhakti, and so there's going to be determination of, like, we'll talk about impersonalism, and then we'll talk about the progresses of bhakti or the devotion, and then what are the qualities that bring one closer to Krishna. So if we started off, we see that bhakti over impersonalism is a very, very important topic for everybody to understand. Krishna says that a worshipper of the impersonal is less perfect and undergoes more difficulty than one who worships Krishna with great faith and fixed attention. This is because Krishna himself personally delivers his devotees. Now, when you say that there is an impersonalist, we are talking about just meditating on the void, meditating on the energy, the impersonal. When personal means that Krishna has a form, impersonal means that Krishna does not have a form. He's just basically a bunch of intelligence, bunch of energy which is out there. And so when people meditate on that, it is extremely difficult because you can't attach your mind to something. Whereas Krishna, such a wonderful form, playing a flute, spending time with the cows and so forth, we can very much attach our mind to that. So Arjun actually asks this question. He says, is one who fixes his mind on Krishna, worshipping him with great transcendental faith, is he considered perfect, or the one who worships the unmanifest or the inconceivable impersonal? So Arjun actually starts off with this question. And here's a chart. I'm not going to go into the details, but I have a link for you to study this chart. It's a very, very important chart to understand the difference between impersonal and personal realization. The impersonal realization is Brahman. People talk about, into Brahman, right? And then there is Bhagavan. So Brahman is, they say, oh, doesn't have any qualities, whereas Bhagavan has all kinds of qualities. And now, does Krishna have quality? Yes. He has infinite number of qualities. It's not proper to say that Krishna is without qualities. Now, when sometimes we say Krishna is nirgun, that means that he does not have any material qualities, but he has spiritual qualities. But if you look at Brahman, he's inconceivable. We can't even understand what does that Brahman actually mean. But Krishna, we can possess, you see, he actually possesses a number of inconceivable potencies. So Brahman is all pervading. Krishna is also all pervading as energies and as super soul, right? And unchanging, fixed, and immovable, same thing that applies to both of them, right? Cannot perceive any opulence because lack of activity. In the Brahman realization, there is no activity going on at all. Whereas in Bhagavan realization, there is all kinds of activities. We actually engage in Krishna service. We actually take prasadam, we do kirtan, we serve Krishna. So for those who worship the Brahman, they have a problem that they may risk not realizing the absolute truth at the end. Whereas for the Bhagavan, what we do as devotees, success is guaranteed because nothing is actually lost. Okay. So here's another chart that shows the sees itself. So the impersonalists, they'll meditate on the formless. The personalists will actually meditate on the deity. Are we personalists or impersonalists, dear devotees? We are all personalists. We meditate on the deity, Radha Galokananda. Shri Radha Galokananda ki jai. So this is a chart. Please take the time to study this chart. Again, if you look at the personalist process, the senses can perceive the deity, the sound of the mantra, and engage the senses. But for impersonalists, it's beyond the senses. They just don't know how to engage the senses. Personalists like us, we understand Krishna through devotional service by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But there are others who worship the word Brahman. They try to understand through Upanishads by going through speculative knowledge into all the scriptures. But we actually just all we do is we do devotional service to Krishna. And it's very natural for us to do that. Right? It is very natural. So there are sometimes problems that we get in our life, but they are mitigated by the relationship with Krishna. It's not that we don't get any problems. Even the impersonal people, they also get problems. But it is actually more troublesome because they don't have any relationship with God, with the Lord. For us, we have problems and we see the problem. Okay, fine. It just came, it just went. It's just something, that happened. Krishna will actually, we should just continue to serve Krishna no matter what. And Krishna will deliver us from Maya. Why? Because Krishna recommends this process. Where does he recommend it? Chapter 7. Mama Maya Durudaya Mameva prapadyante mayamitam taradite. So we have this huge, strong energy of Krishna, external energy of Krishna called Maya, that we cannot overcome. It's like we have a tiny spark of fire, a small ghee lamp that we have, and here comes a huge tornado, category 5. Do you think the small lamp will actually survive in this kind of a huge tornado? No. This small lamp represents us as the soul, dear devotees, and this huge tornado represents Maya, the external energy of Krishna. So if the small lamp by its own endeavor cannot survive this Maya, we don't have any chance. And therefore, what is needed is something that is bigger than the tornado, who can help us. And in this analogy, Krishna is bigger than his Maya, because Maya is his own energy. So Krishna will actually lend a hand, help us, and pull us out of this material world. This is a chart giving some more information about the impersonalists. You can read this at your, when I shared the link. The question then becomes, is Bhakti Yoga, if Bhakti Yoga is so easy, why do people in different ages take to the difficult processes? And the thing for an answer to that is that Bhakti has been made very easy and available in Kali Yoga, that is the age that we are in right now. Whereas in the other ages, people had greater amounts of capacity, intelligence-wise, and I should say stamina-wise, concentration, meditation-wise. Even the length of the years, the people live for 100,000 years. They live for 10,000 years. They live for 1,000 years. In Kali Yuga, the people hardly live for up to 100 years. So people's age, their mentality, their mental capacity, their stamina, their memory, all those things have been reduced. And therefore, we do not have the capacity to take anything else. And in Bhakti Yoga, Krishna made it available in the Kali Yuga so that we can all accept it. We can accept Bhakti Yoga and we can make progress. This is a great, great benefit of being in Kali Yuga. Because devotional service is Sudurlabha. Jiva Goswami says that he doesn't award this pure devotional service. You have to really have a deep desire to serve Krishna. And that's when Krishna will achieve. And then there are progressive stages of devotion. And this is very important. Please try to understand and memorize this. Krishna says that engage in my pure devotional service. That is what we should all be doing. Srila Prabhupada also asked us to do that. But if it's not possible for you to engage in devotional service, then you can engage in sadhana bhakti, which is following the rules and regulations under the guidance and direction of a spiritual master. And that's what we are all trying to do. We are trying to do sadhana bhakti. We are not at the stage of pure devotional service because Srila Prabhupada is the one who's at pure devotional service. We are all trying to be sadhana bhakti. And Krishna says, if you cannot do this sadhana bhakti, if you cannot chant your 16 rounds, if you cannot follow the 4 regulative principles, then what you should do, at least whatever work you're doing in consciousness of Krishna, that's something that you can do. Whatever work you're doing, you should do it for Krishna. Even if that is not possible for you, you should just try to act giving up all the results of your work and try to be self-situated. So you see how this is it's a, what's it called? A scaling down of the various stages of devotion. The topmost stage is devotional service. Then is sadhana bhakti. Then working for Krishna. And then finally, just don't be attached to the fruits of your work and be self-situated. There's nothing wrong in doing that. It is just a progressive stage to get to the next level. If somebody who is right now not attached to their work, they just want to, give their work to Krishna, that's fine. Somebody who's like maybe a little bit attached, but if they want to take to sadhana bhakti, absolutely. Follow the 4 regulative principles, chant your 16 rounds, and follow the direction of a spiritual master. You're in the sadhana bhakti level. That is a great stage to be in. Krishna says, just fix your mind upon me. Engage all your intelligence in me, and therefore you will live with me always without a doubt. Isn't that wonderful? If you engage your mind in Krishna, we serve Krishna with all our heart, we will actually be able to live with Krishna. My dear Arjun, the winner of the wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the principles of Bhakti Yoga. And therefore, you'll attain a desire to attain me. So Krishna is giving us this sliding scale of things that we should be doing. Pure devotional service, followed by sadhana bhakti. That is what is being described in this verse. When we practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, then one's desire and the ability to remember and obtain Krishna is increasing. And bhakti is a very inherent process. Devotional service is a practice of something that is inherent within ourselves. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu actually says, right? Just like the child has a propensity for walking, a child will crawl, and then the baby will crawl, and then after that it'll stand up on its own feet and then be able to walk. Similarly, we as souls have the propensity to do devotional service. And Krishna continues on with this sliding scale. He says, if you cannot follow the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, just work for me. Just work for Krishna. And this, if you remember, back in chapter number 2, it was stated that this is the stage of Nishkam Karma Yoga. Nishkam Karma Yoga. So I'm doing karma, but I'm doing it for Krishna. And then Krishna says, if that is also not possible for you, just surrender the results of your work, and that is called Sakam Karma Yoga. So you just surrender the results of your work. And in this way, Krishna is basically establishing so many different levels, so many different ways of remembering Krishna, serving Krishna. And that, anybody who's interested in doing anything for their self-realization will be able to, do one of these things. Isn't that very easy? Follow Bhakti Yoga. And by that, we'll be able to attain Krishna. Okay? And finally, Krishna says that if you cannot take to this practice and engage yourself in cultivation of knowledge, sometimes people may say, I really don't want to work for Krishna. Why should I give up the fruits of my result? Well, it's because they don't have any knowledge. Read Bhagavad Gita, read the scriptures, right? And when you read the scriptures, that way you will just knowledge, oh, this is how it is. People will sometimes not read from the authorities. They will make up their own concoctions in their mind. And they will say, this is how it is. People don't understand. Therefore, an education is necessary in spirituality. These are the progressive stages of devotion as we go up the ladder. At the bottom, at the lowest stage, if you see, it's kind of an indirectly you're serving Krishna. The top stages are actually directly serving. So at the lowest stage, we can have purification, peace. And then Krishna talks about cultivation of knowledge, renunciation of the fruits. All of this is something that will progress us further. And then we'll come to the stage of devotional service where we are actually working for Krishna. We develop a desire to attain Krishna. And then there is these sadhana bhakti, where we follow the regulative principles. And the next stage beyond that is when the mind is fixed on Krishna, we will live in relationship with Krishna. What is that end result going to be? We actually live in relationship with Krishna. And we serve Krishna with love and devotion. Okay, moving on. So there is a direct process and then there is an indirect process. Which one is better? Krishna says, one may take either the step-by-step process or the direct path. So whichever one you want to get to, if you want to go directly, all you should do is sadhana bhakti. And then Krishna will now talk about the qualities of one who is dear to Krishna. So make one dear to Krishna, and anyone who faithfully follows the path of devotion service, making Krishna to the supreme goal is very dear to him. So if we talk about Krishna with other people, this is a great quality that Krishna likes. So we should go out in book distribution. This is the reason why we do book distribution. When we reach out to other people, we give them the Bhagavad Gita, we share with them the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, we share with them the knowledge of Krishna. Krishna is very happy with that. Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh. He's very happy with that. It's a great quality. This is why we go out for book distribution and we go out for Harinam Sankirtan and we give out books. We talk about Krishna. One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all the living entities. One who does not think of himself as a proprietor. He's free from false ego. Who is equal with both happiness and distress. Who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, engaged in devotional service. With determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Krishna is saying this. A devotee should have what kind of qualities? Should not be envious. What is the meaning of envious? Jealousy. There's a slight difference between jealousy and envious. Jealousy is where people think that, oh, I want what this other person has. And it's very passive. There is no action involved in it. In your own mind, you're thinking that I need this, and that is being jealous. Envious means I'm going to take whatever this person has. Whatever you have, if you have an iPhone in your hand, I'm going to snatch that iPhone and take it for myself. That's being envious. Krishna says one who is not envious. We should not be envious. Okay? Kind friend to all the living entities. We should be friendly, compassionate, a great quality that Krishna loves. Free from false ego, equal in happiness and distress, tolerant. Sometimes people might come up, and might say something which we may not like, but we need to be tolerant. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't stand up to injustice. If there is injustice that has happened to you or to anybody else around you, then you should obviously stand up. Self-satisfied, self-controlled, always engaged in devotional service. Such devotees Krishna likes. So there are these qualities of pure devotee that have been identified in these two verses. And you can go through these qualities. I'll share this chart with you. So it's fixed in following the instructions of a spiritual master. So for those who are initiated, you have a spiritual master who is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. For those who are not initiated yet, Srila Prabhupada is our spiritual master, and we should follow instructions from what he's told us. So go through all this chart. It's basically, kind friend, free from false ego, fully engaged in devotional service. This is a key one, fully engaged in devotional service. Equal in both happiness and distress. Although, this doesn't mean that we should act like a robot. If somebody's happy, okay, thank you. Or somebody's sad, okay, thank you. This doesn't mean you should act like a robot, because we all have some kind of an emotion. This basically means that we should not be too elated or too depressed. And we should understand this is basically a grace of Krishna. Mind is fixed on the Lord. We are patient, peaceful, and then tolerant of whatever comes our way. We are not swayed by false arguments, and we are fully fixed in understanding that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then this continues, the devotee who knows everything, who knows that the essence of everything is in connection with Krishna. The Krishna is the essence of everything. So a devotee is patient, he's silent, he's detached, and he's fixed. What is the evidence that bhakti is the best process of self-realization? The path of devotional service and these qualities of a pure devotee are clearly recommended in this. In verse 20, the Lord Krishna says that such a person who completely engages in his service with full faith is the most dear to him. Therefore, it can be concluded that bhakti is the best process of self-realization. Are you all convinced that bhakti is the best process of self-realization? Yes. So the chapter concludes. It's a short chapter, 20 verses. And then, it basically says that between worshipping the impersonal Brahman and doing the devotional service is better. Okay. So that concludes the 12th chapter as well. And let me just go ahead and see. Let me go back here. Did anybody have any questions or any items of discussion that we should do devotional service? That is the ultimate conclusion of this chapter. Everybody good? You're good? Navneet, you're going to do devotional service? Yes. Aksh, devotional service? Yes. Radhika, you're doing devotional service? And Rasika. Very nice. All right, dear devotees, thank you all very much. And I will post the links of these PowerPoints, and then we'll also put up the link of the recording. Thank you all very much. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the
Hare
class.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Prabhuji,
Hare
thank you.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Veda.